Good Monday morning, folks. Um, so how did I get here? I know the last video, I, I don't know what I actually showed in the last video. I forgot. But I do know over the last few days, as I've done this epoxy project, I've filmed and tried to create a video to, just kind of showcase the process of doing this. And it becomes so many steps and so many individual videos and over so many days. I lose track. Excuse me. Quite frankly, I lose track. I do. I start to make segments and put together like a part 1, 2, whatever. But in this case, there was just so many individual steps of switching sandpapers and different grits, spending special amount of sanding on certain little blemishes and things like that I just kind of overdid it with. So what I'm going to do is just throw what I have filmed away. I think, no, let me back up. Maybe this video that I'm making right now, I think I'll let this be the front of my video of random clips of how I got to this point. I had like almost 2 hours of clips when I went to make the video was 2 hours. And I'm like, all right, I'm not going to post that on YouTube. That's ridiculous. So I drastically shortened it down to like 53 minutes. And I'm like, that's pretty good, if somebody really wants to watch me do this process. And there's a lot of me talking in it because I'm explaining a lot of the little details and things. I think the lowest the lowest I was able to get the footage down to was like 32 minutes. And I just thought, I'm like, man, that is just way too long. And now it's all chopped up because I had to, edit out so much just to get the time down. And rather than make it into 2 or 3 or 4 more parts, I think what I'll do is, like I said here, I'll just do a random video of clips. Maybe I'll voice over and explain what's kind of happening in each, just to give you a smaller sense of what happened over the process that got me to this point, and bring you guys all up to speed, so to speak. But with that, I'll let you guys go ahead and watch those clips, and then I'll come back to you, and we can go over how she looks. I'll flip it around a little bit and give you guys a little better view of the bowl. All right, here we go. Okay, so the storm blew over. Other than the rain and the gusts at the beginning were pretty strong. We had a couple random gusts that were just pretty forceful. But let me see if I can do this. What do you say to that? Don't know. I mean, should I? Have any real experience, and I haven't developed any techniques or anything that seem to please me. So I just kind of do it. So I think I'll do that. I'll get set up and I'll pour the epoxy, let it dry. So here's the bowl after the 2 coats of epoxy and sanding in between. I can't say that I'm thrilled with it. I don't have a dust-free environment in here. It's very dusty, which is, I'm trying to get away from doing any kind of sanding, or actually really what I need to not do is finish work in here. I gotta find a better place to do finish work. But it came out nice. Things were going well when I started putting on the second coat, and I realized that my material that was underneath the bowl, like the newspaper and the cloth that was holding, was getting resin on it, and I didn't want that, so I had to pull it out. And in doing so, I dropped the bowl. It was just lathered, gooey in epoxy. Excuse me. And I dropped the bowl onto the table, and it was just covered in dust. So I did my best, and I got quite a bit of it out, but there's still spots where dust got embedded, or hair might got embedded. There's just probably a good dozen or so of those spots that I'm gonna have to go back and touch up, but I'm gonna zoom you in real close, see what it does. So we're in pretty close now, I think. But there's a blemish right there. This is the kind of stuff it's really gonna have a hard time focusing because it's so shiny. But I mean, as you can see, it's an absolute mirror finish. It's just so shiny. You know, can you see my hand up there? I know it's just because it's blocking the light, but if you look just outside of the area, you can actually see, you know, my hand itself. That's how shiny it is. So I think what I'll do is just accept the finish actually as it is and polish it now. It'll sit the rest of the day and really firm up. It's not wet. It's certainly, you can handle it, but the grease on your fingers, natural oils of your skin, will come off in some cases and leave marks, and then you got to spend a little extra attention buffing on that. But if you know, in a few hours, it's going to be much harder. Here's an area here. Oh, that was what happened. That's this area right there. I totally forgot to mention that to you guys. So in the process, I use a torch to heat the bowl and just do away with the bubbles. It pops the bubbles. It brings the air up out of the epoxy, and the bubbles pop. And I've never had this happen before, but for whatever reason, it caught fire when I did that. I went back and forth, and it went, and I quickly blew it out, but the damage was done. I couldn't get the epoxy to stick to that area at all. With wet epoxy, I just sat there and I rubbed it, trying to get it to congeal and to, you know, adhere to the wood, but it just wouldn't do it. And I really, see if I can zoom that in a little bit more. So I really botched that area up. I mean, to most folks, they probably wouldn't think nothing of it, but I saw it, I did it, it happened. So it's one of those things, but it's quite gorgeous, this bowl, I really do have to say. Let me show you the inside, which isn't finished yet. So I won't sit it down for long, but the inside, still naked. Once this outside is done, I'll sand all this driplets off, all the little edges and drops that come up, and I'll sand the inside of the bowl and get some of my thickness down. There's a couple spots now that I got 2 layers of epoxy. There's a couple spots that I can sand a little more. And certainly you can see where epoxy bled through. I want to sand all that out. And then I'll do the same. I'll stain it and resists heat and chemicals. It's waterproof. It's ideal for bars, tabletops. So I think as long as, you know, this isn't going to be something where you dump a flaming, you know, a whole bunch of barbecue chicken or something into and serve it. You know, you're not going to do anything like that. You're going to serve salads and you know, cold dishes, you know, maybe having popcorn or a big thing of chips or something. Let me see what the overall size is. So, well, let's do inside lip. Inside lip to cross is 14.5, and it's a good 6 inches deep. So there's a lot of room to snack with. It's just, you know, there was a time when these kind of pieces were not the epoxy. What I'm talking about is the big carved pieces were the centerpiece of a dining room table. You know, however it was acquired, oftentimes these bowls were carved out by, you know, mom or dad, and they put function over fashion, obviously, because it would have been difficult to carve something like this years ago without power tools and things. But with that said, you would have bowls would still have uniqueness, and you know, the maker would have still strived to emphasize something. You know, I don't put a ton of emphasis on the shape of the bowl, other than its general shape. I knew I wanted a big, deep bowl, but it's not level by any means. You know, if you looked across it, you can see it doesn't sit level or anything. It sits flat enough that it's not going to tip off a table or roll around, but it doesn't. So I guess what I'm saying is, a home felt very warm, decorated with these things. Very, very inviting to come in and hand someone this bowl and say, "Come sit down and eat with me," or, you know, or have it brought out while you're all there, you know, visiting or talking amongst friends, and then have this bowl brought out that you can talk about. And maybe I'm just fantasizing a little bit, but that's kind of what I get out of something, making something like this, you know. I don't know if it will see much use in its lifetime. I really hope it does. I hope it gets used, and I hope it's able to stand the test of time. So there she be. I'll do a couple touch-ups on the coat on the outside, and then, like I said, I'll get to work on the inside, and it'll be pretty much the same process. Great deal of sanding, adding some stain, and then epoxy the finish on the hard finish. So I'll do all that, and I'll put together a video, and I'll try to do a little more clear and concise. But it's such tedious, long work. Maybe I shouldn't even record the sanding. I'll see what I come up with. But thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting me, and if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. All right, folks, have a great day.